Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunburst Sanctuary. My name is David, and I'll be doing the speaking this morning. Our topic is the light that shines behind the darkness. And it was mentioned earlier that we had an event this weekend, and I know that I think many of you, if not all of you, were at the event yesterday and last evening, where we had a bonfire out by the labyrinth, and there were luminaria lining the pathway to the labyrinth, and it was just beautiful. If you didn't get to see it, I'm sure there will be some photos on our website, or my daughter has them on her phone too, if you want to see. It was really, really wonderful. It was magical. We made a great attempt at singing a lot of Christmas carols, and did pretty darn good, I think. There were marshmallows. It was wonderful. And then near the end, one of the brothers who was visiting pulled out a didgeridoo, which I had never heard in person before, but oh my goodness gracious, it was just incredible. And somebody said that this might be the oldest or one of the very oldest instruments that was ever developed on the planet. And when he was playing it, I was able to lean back. I was sitting down low towards the ground, and I was able to lean back and just look up at the stars, and the bonfire was going, and that incredible ancient sound. It was just primal. It was stirred something deep inside me, and I'm sure that everyone that was there was feeling something at that moment. It was really great. And then Katie, my daughter, asked me, where are those people from? And I said, well, I think they're from Australia. But I think they might be from San Luis Obispo. The guy really knew how to rock the didgeridoo. It was awesome. So we have this luminaria walk at the labyrinth every year, and it's always around the time of the solstice, and this year it's just a little bit before. I think the solstice is maybe in 4 more days. And on solstice morning, those of us who have the opportunity to be here on the property, we will be out there walking the labyrinth as the sun is rising, and it's again a really great tradition that we have here at Sunburst to do that. It has deep meaning, as I'm sure you all know, and we are celebrating the winter solstice and the light that's starting to return after the days have been getting shorter and shorter. They're going to start getting longer and longer every day. And it's a celebration that is ancient and has been going on the planet since before recorded history. So the light that shines behind the darkness has been celebrated in many, many ways for millennia. Today, I wanted to do a reading to start with from Paramahansa Yogananda. He says, "A room may be in darkness for thousands of years, but if a light is brought into it, in that very instant, the darkness vanishes. So it is with sin. You cannot drive sin out of the mind any more than you can beat darkness out of a room with a stick. By concentration on delusion, indeed, you may only increase its hold on your mind. Bring in the light of God, however, through deep meditation and devotion, and the darkness will vanish as though it had never been." And when I read this, I thought about this word sin, which is, to me, is kind of an old school word. And I think sin can almost sometimes have a little bit of shame associated with it. But another word for sin could just be ignorance and not having the light of day shone on things within us so that we can see them for what they are. And I know that all of us are at, we have an interest in divine spirit, we have an interest in conscious awakening, so we're working towards divine illumination. But as we go along the way, we are still dealing with some of the ignorance that we have within us. And when I say ignorance, I don't mean it in a negative way. It's just that we are all trying to figure out the best we can with the resources that we have within our bodies to do the best that we can here on the planet. So when I think about ignorance, I don't think of it in a negative way. I just think I'm a human being. I'm evolving on the spiritual path. I still have lessons to learn, and there's things that I can still shine the inner light of awareness on and grow in that way. I wanted to share a little story that's real short. Of one time, many years ago, here at the ranch, when Norm was still with us. I was actually not living here at that time, but I was out for a retreat that we were going to have. And I was talking to him in the lodge, and we were talking about getting prepared for the retreat. And he said that there are forces that try to work against the types of things that we're doing here. That there's opposition to the light workers on this planet. And he didn't like to dwell on this, but because he could see things, he would tell us what he could see. And he said, for instance, this morning I saw one of these kind of negative entities hanging around down by the front gate as I drove in. And we were getting ready for a retreat. And they always show up when we're trying to do something really positive. And I said, well, what do they do? I mean, how do you know that they're around? What manifests? And he said, well, basically, if they can, they just figure out ways to bum people out, right? Put you in a bad mood, so you're not receptive to receiving the positivity that's happening. And we don't really know what our own personal evolution is. For all I know, I was one of those lost souls that was working against the light in a past life or many past lives. Who knows? We can't really know, so we can't really judge that. And we know that ultimately every soul, no matter how lost in time and space they might become, and how ignorant they become to their true nature, that eventually we all return to the light. And I guess I would just say all is forgiven. And that's the beauty of this plan that Divine Spirit has. We have the opportunity to go out into creation, out into time and space, enjoy the experience while we're here. And if we get caught up in it, it literally is not the end of our life forever, because our life forever is eternal. It really is forever. And the forever part of us is the pure self that travels with our soul from lifetime to lifetime and never changes. No matter what the conditions are that we come up against, this pure self, pure consciousness within, it's always keeps us connected to our source. And it's always available to us if we choose to dwell on it. And that's what Yogananda was saying in his reading, in the reading from earlier, is if you want to chase ignorance out of your mind, then don't try to do it by thinking your way out of it, because you'll never think your way out of all the thoughts of your mind. He was recommending that we sit down and we meditate, because through meditation, we have the opportunity to be quiet and to listen to that still voice within, which is connected to eternity and will give us the instruction individually that we need to make the next step in our life. And it's not just for some people, it's for everybody. And for some reason in this lifetime, and I can only say I'm really happy that it has happened, we have decided that it was at least worth investigating this idea that we're something more than just the habits that we have and the personalities that we have. We're something more than the negative relationships that we have with people. We have a deeper source and a deeper meaning, and we literally, each one of us has a deeper mission in life to have full soul awakening while we're still in these bodies. And that's the opportunity that we have here, that we share together. And I can't think of what a greater opportunity to have and to take advantage of and to support one another as we go through it. Because we do need support. Everyone needs support. Life is, as we each know, life is full of ups and downs. And we'll have a period where everything is just going really well. And we start feeling like, oh, wow, that's who I am. I'm somebody who's doing really well. And we actually start thinking and maybe even taking credit for how we're feeling. And in reality, this is the experience flowing through us that's helping us advance and to work out our karma. And other times, we might be going through a rougher period where things aren't going as well. And again, we start to think, oh boy, I'm such a bad person, otherwise I wouldn't feel this way. Well, the spiritual life gives us the opportunity to find a constant energy within us that knows that we are connected to something that goes beyond all of these dramas of this life. And if we can find a way, and there is a way through meditation, to connect with that energy regularly, then as the ups and downs of life come along, we're able to weather them. We're able to remember that there is an inner sun shining. And it's shining the truth and the light of divine consciousness out to us all of the time. It's there for us to access. I saw something just recently on the internet, so I know it's true. It said that that our normal human awareness only perceives 0.0001% of the spectrum of light that is in the cosmos. You know, I don't know if that number is accurate, but I do know, that some people can see inner light and other people can't. And this has to do with the development of their natural faculties to be able to do that. And so, if we're only seeing such a small sliver of that light, then we have a lot of opportunity to expand our awareness so that we can see and receive the divine truth and the divine peace and the divine bliss that is always flowing forth from that light. It's there for us. And Yogananda, I read one time from Yogananda, he said that our true nature is bliss. As a soul, that's our true nature. And he said, when you experience bliss in your body, it's the highest form of receiving consciousness into these bodies. It's like we are literally experiencing our true nature, and we are connected to the source that it came from. Let's take some time now to sit together in meditation, to be aware that there is a very brilliant, bright light shining all of the time in inner space. It follows us everywhere we go. We can't get away from it. But for the most part, we also can't see it. But it's there, and it's waiting to administer to us as we invite it to, and as we open ourselves up to it. I'd like to just leave us, before we go into meditation, with the quote from Jesus, who said, if your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. And this single eye that we are talking about resides here at the pituitary center, in the center of our heads. And when we're meditating, if we concentrate our attention with our eyes partly closed, we concentrate our attention at this point between the eyebrows, that's where we will perceive light if we are going to see it. And it's being reflected from within our own interdimensional spine, but that's where we'll see it. And that's why we keep our point of concentration at the third eye while we're meditating. So with our concentration there, and having a nice rhythmic breath, a breath of awareness, of conscious breathing, let us go into our meditation, and we'll have the singing bowls take us into that deep, deep place within us. And follow that very last singing bowl sound as deep as you can into your inner space within your soul. As we come out of our quiet period, I'd like to share a few more thoughts on this subject. I was thinking about how it was just around this time of year, the end of last couple months of 1970, when this organization acquired its first piece of property, which was 160 acres up on the top of the mountain above Santa Barbara. And there were enough young people who had gathered around Norm to learn how to meditate and wanted to live in harmony and in community and grow food. And so they were able to get this property. And the story, as I've heard it, and I believe it might be in Norm's book, is that after they had the property and they were driving up there was a rainbow that appeared out in front of their vehicle. And it just kind of was right out in front of their vehicle the whole way up. It just kept moving in front of them. And when they got up to the top of the mountain, where the little valley was, where the property was, there was a cloud cover up there, but as soon as they drove in, the clouds parted, and the sun burst through the clouds onto the property, and the rainbow now was in full view over the property. And so they decided to name the lodge that was there, the main building, the Rainbow Lodge. And they called the property Sunburst Farm. I'm not sure, but that might have been where the Sunburst name originally came from, for Sunburst. And it's very fitting, if you think about it, that the clouds parted and the sun burst through. And it's really no different than our adventure here on the spiritual path. Because eventually, if it hasn't already happened, the clouds, the thoughts, whatever it might be that's clouding our vision of the inner vision will part, and the inner sun will break through. It's there just as sure as the sun is in the sky today, here in this dimension. One time, Norm used to talk about the light all the time. I mean, that was his guiding force in life. And he was referring to it as the subjective light. I just didn't know what that meant, the subjective light. And so I asked him one day, I said, Norm, what does that mean, the subjective light? And he thought really for a moment, and in his real humble way, he said, well, apparently not everyone can see it. And I thought, oh yeah, I know that part. And so basically it just means that it's subject to whoever's looking at the light. And well, one thing I want to say about that is that when I was reflecting on this, I was thinking about some other questions that I asked Norm over the years, which were probably pretty rudimentary, I'll just say. But he always answered me with such focus and humility and love. And it's like a good parent when their little child is asking questions about this world. You know, a good parent doesn't go, that's a stupid question. They take the time to explain whatever it might be. And so Norm, he had access to this other world. And those of us who knew him, we were interested in that world. If we asked him a question, he never said, "That's a stupid question." He always took the time, really took the time to explain it the best he could. It was a wonderful model for life to see that. So I was thinking about the subjective light and just how I guess it's subjective to where our own personal evolution is. And that we can develop the inner senses of our spiritual body to be able to perceive the light, or be able to hear the vibration, the cosmic vibration of Om. Because some people also hear that. All of our senses, these 5 senses that we have in these bodies, they're designed for this dimension of consciousness, but we can evolve them through meditation, through virtuous living, to have a deeper perception. Which is great. This is from Richard Buck, who wrote the book Cosmic Consciousness. The creature with simple consciousness only is a straw floating on a tide. It moves freely with every influence. The self-conscious man is a needle, pivoted by its center, fixed in one point, but revolving freely on that. The man with cosmic consciousness is the same needle magnetized. It is still fixed by its center, but besides that, it points steadily to the north. It has found something real and permanent outside of itself, towards which it cannot but steadily look. And one more quote that I would like to say from Norm Paulson, from a talk that he gave many years ago that somebody later turned into a song, which we can sing sometime here together. He said, "Think not lightly that God is calling you because of your own heart's desire. How much do you really want him? Beings come and go like leaves on a tree. Listen and seek while you have the opportunity." You're welcome to join me in a closing prayer. Living Spirit, you are the source of all life.
You are the source of all life.
You are the inspiration in our minds.
You are the inspiration in our minds.
And the devotion in our hearts.
And the devotion in our hearts.
We thank you so much.
We thank you so much.
That we might know.
That we might know.
Our Mother and our Father.
Our Mother and our Father.
Our divine parents.
Our divine parents.
In this life.
In this life.
Amen.
starships rode them through the skies, visiting the worlds of wonder, sailing through their skies, drinking in the endless power of the blazing sun. Joyously we sang together as on the light we spun. Sunburst, break on my soul, carry me away. Sunburst, break on my soul, lead me to that day. We forgot the way we built the mighty pyramid. We forgot the strength that moved our hands and all they did. But when I look into the power of the blazing sun, I look forward to the day when you and I are one. Sunburst, break on my soul, carry me away. Sunburst, break on my soul, lead me to that day. Sunburst, break on my soul, carry me away. Sunburst, break on my soul, lead me to that day. In the song of dancing wind, moving through the trees, in the roar of crashing breakers, pounding on the seas. Endless universes spinning, oh Spirit divine. All the mansions of creation, all we see is thine. Sunburst, break on my soul, carry me away. Sunburst, break on my soul, lead me to that day. Sunburst, break on my soul, carry me away. Sunburst, break on my soul, lead me to that day.